This is Scotty Reed with a Black Talk Radio News Report. And new information is coming out about the background of killer cop Darren Wilson, the Ferguson police officer who executed Michael Brown in the middle of the street. Several witnesses all saying the same thing, but yet this guy still has not been arrested. The prosecutor of Ferguson is convening some sort of grand jury to seek an indictment, but it's a secret grand jury, which he didn't need to convene, that he could have just issued an indictment and charged the guy with murder, considering that you have 5 witnesses as well as video and photographic evidence. But now we are getting some more background information on Mr. Wilson, Darren Wilson, again, the cop who executed Michael Brown in the middle of the street in Ferguson. Well, before he came to work as a Ferguson police officer, he was a member of the police department in Jennings, Missouri. Now, the Washington Post and other media outlets have also confirmed this story, but the Jennings Police Department is described as being so troubled, so racist, and had so many problems with black residents that the city council decided to fire every last single officer, including this guy, this killer cop, Darren Wilson. I mean, there's just so much, that you can get from this story. One of the things that came to my mind was the fact that you hear people calling for the firing of cops, to have them terminated from, their jobs. And as I've stated many times before, that is not justice. Those cops then go to another city and get another job as a cop. And then they end up killing somebody or abusing other people's rights. And, the cycle of abuse just continues, and there has to be some kind of regulation, some kind of law put in place that if I've heard, what's his name? I've heard an activist, I can't think of his name right now, but I heard of an activist who said that there should be a law, a federal law, that if you are a cop, and you're found to violated somebody's constitutional rights, somebody's civil rights, that you should lose your job and never ever be able to work in law enforcement again. Dick Gregory said that. And so here we have Mr. Wilson, who belonged to the Jennings Police Department, that was so racist the city council finally decided to just fire everybody. Right now, Ferguson Police Department has also had issues in the past. I can't recall the man's name, but they arrested the wrong guy, had a different middle name, different social security number, and they beat this guy so badly. He was bleeding everywhere, and then they charged him with, damaging, police property cause he bled on their uniforms. And it also came out that the Ferguson police officers, whenever there was, any allegation of, use of force or excess of force, they were writing their own reports. The cop who was accused of, using excessive force on somebody got to write his own report. All right. So, I mean, this is, breaking news again. And we'll see, if how many other media outlets like Fox News, which is really fake news, will pick up this story and how they will try to spin it. Now, it'd be interesting to find out if there are any records from that police department before it was disbanded and they hired all new people, to see how many complaints Darren Wilson had lodged against him. So I assume that I assume that he didn't get his job back because he had, also been accused of violating the rights of black people in Jennings, Missouri. So yeah, that is the latest news, that is coming out, being confirmed by many different, media outlets. All right. And, they also said that, Jennings was a mainly white department mired in controversy and notorious for its fraught relationship with residents, especially the African American majority. So how are we going to, have majority black towns, but then they, the government and especially the police department, is majority white? That doesn't make any sense. And I know a lot of my comrades say that, you can't vote your way out of this type of stuff. But Malcolm X said by any means necessary. And I know that, once these people get in Congress, whether they're first timers or whatnot, that, they are bought off by big money, by corporations, and they get gifts and things of that nature. So, federal, we don't see so much change in government. It's always, the same old from presidential administration to the next administration. Same stuff going on with Congress. And, I don't buy into that Republican, Democrat. Republicans and Democrats militarize the police. All right. And they have done nothing. Neither party has done anything to rein in these killer cops, but instead, they give deference to law enforcement and put them up on a pedestal, and give us the same good cop propaganda. They got such a tough job and all this and that. Now, I also found out that Darren Wilson, remember he got that commendation shortly before, he killed Michael Brown. Guess what his commendation was for? For subduing a man engaged in a drug transaction. So here we got him, slave patroller, paddy roller, out there prosecuting the drug war and enslaving people for nonviolent drug crimes. They gave him an award for that because he caught a new slave. You know what I'm saying? To put on a prison plantation, to provide jobs in predominantly white communities, enslaving predominantly African American prisoners or black prisoners, non-white prisoners, as Hispanics are the second most population behind black people on a prison plantation. Then you steal the resources out of the communities that you captured them in, and then when the census rolls around, they're counted as being part of the district of where they are enslaved. So therefore, those resources that, representation goes to that predominantly white county. I mean, the games that they play is really deep, and it's not really a game. I shouldn't use that, but they're waging war on us, and they're winning and we're losing very badly. And so, it was interesting to find out that, they give commendations for, arresting people for nonviolent drug crimes. And that's all cops do. They either writing traffic tickets to raise money for the state, or they're out there terrorizing people, who aren't hurting anyone. I don't care if they're smoking crack or whatever. How is that hurting you? This is how I define crime. Crime is when you are engaged in an activity or taking action that violates the liberty or property of another human being. If you have not violated the liberty, taken away the freedom, or stolen the property of another individual, you have not committed a crime. Just because crooked politicians pass a law, and they pass many of them, and call something a crime, that does not make it a crime. And it's time to wipe out all of this legislation, repeal every law that locks up people that are not violating the rights of other people. So yeah, he got a commendation for catching a new slave engaged in a nonviolent drug transaction. So, they'll probably say, he had a clean record at Jennings and all this and that. Well, if he had a clean record, why he didn't sue for false, what would be the proper legal term for it, for unfair firing or whatever, why didn't he sue or protest? No, he went and got a job with Ferguson. And now we know he was just engaged in racial profiling, writing a bunch of tickets, subduing nonviolent so-called drug offenders. He got a commendation for that. And now he's executed a young black man by the name of Michael Brown. And, I'm surprised they haven't given him accommodation for that either, but they are certainly doing all that they can to protect this man. And it also goes to show you, if Jennings could disband their entire police department, then so can other cities. We have to take back our communities, y'all. Push these cops out because they ain't doing nothing. They don't prevent any crime. They're committing crimes. And the worst crime of all is they are participating in 21st century slavery and human trafficking. This is Scotty Reed, Black Talk Radio News.